Hey everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of the Post-Gazette's brand new volleyball podcast, Serving Up Pitt, your go-to podcast for everything Pitt volleyball. I'm Abby Schnable, a Pitt beat writer. I've been covering the team for about 3 seasons now, and joining me in hosting duties is the iconic Cat Flood. Kat, what have you been up to since the end of last season?
Yeah, obviously spent the last 5 years at Pittsburgh, finished everything in December, finished my degree in May, trained with the team all May. I'm planning on playing professionally, which we will tap into when that contract is all locked and loaded. I've been playing all summer, playing grass, playing beach. I played in, what's called Smashville in Nashville with Emmy, Klika, one of our, other Pitt volleyball alums. I played in Wapaka with Emmy again. I actually flew to Hawaii and played with Lexus Akeo, Chiamaka Nwokolo, and then Kayla Lund in that tournament. And then actually just played in the Manhattan Beach six-man and won the whole freaking thing. So it's been an awesome summer full of volleyball. Worked with Out of System a lot, did a lot of their camps, went to Dallas with them to start their new social club. So all of it's been about volleyball, but it's also been a lot about travel. But I am so excited to get my pro career started, and I need to get my butt home and start training. But here I am
Yeah.
now.
And we love it. This has been something that I've been wanting to do for the past 2 seasons, and I actually brought it up to Kat in January and was like, "We're doing this," and when it was happening, it wasn't happening, but it's happening. We're here. Each week, we're going to break down the Panthers from roster updates and game previews to game recaps, standout performances. Today, we're doing things a little bit backwards because although the season started last week, I do want to give a little bit of look at this year's roster, some of the big position battles, and then second, takeaways from Pitt's opening weekend against Nebraska and Florida. So everyone should settle in and let's serve up some Pitt volleyball.
Let's go.
So Kat, how about we get started with talk to us about the outgoing players from last season?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm one of the outgoing players. I was obviously a serving sub, played middle, played outside, but also along with me, I was the only one in my class, but the class above me was Valeria Vazquez, who played with the Supernovas this year and actually just finished playing with the Puerto Rican national team in the FIVB. She was an outside hitter, was a starter most of my years. She's phenomenal. Her leadership role was huge. Took a big hit in that sense. Klika, not to mention, just won the PVF championship in Orlando, and she was the libero. She's an absolute killer on the court, has a great platform, sees the ball really well. And then obviously our quarterback, Rachel Fairbanks, who played in Atlanta this year with LFVB. So 1, 2, 3, I mean, there's 4 of us who were the beginners with the Final Four runs, the Elite Eight run. We kind of created that culture. And so I think that those 5 people, not to mention who were starters, were also great leaders. Pitt volleyball did take a big hit. And then also we did lose one of our outsides, Tori Stafford, to Texas. Ultimately, great choice for her, what she needed to do. And that was a big hit. But we have 2 new outsides who came in, European outsides, who will absolutely take her spot.
So yeah. It's nice that they have a little bit of continuity and, the 3 returning starters, Olivia Babcock at the right side, Brie Kelly and Ryla Jones at middle, which is a nice foundation, but arguably, libero and setter are probably the hardest to kind of really get back into. But, these 3 players, Brie and Olivia, specifically All-Americans, Olivia winning the National Player of the Year, Ryla, All-ACC player. When you have a season like that, how do you step up? Because those are pretty big moments.
Yeah. Obviously, all of us left pretty big shoes to fill, but I think we also gave them great role model leadership styles for them to kind of take on too, whether it was off the court or on the court. I think that Brie and Liv are both very prepared to step into this role. I know that Olivia is basically the LeBron of volleyball right now, but Brie is one of the best middles in the country, as many people have said, as both of them are candidates for National Player of the Year. But they're also great leaders, and I know that they're going to have the fire to compete really hard, but also be like a great captain and teammate to all these girls. And Ryla, not to mention, who is so young but has already filled into that role as a freshman. She's a great leader for the middles. We have a lot of new middles in, so it's Dahlia and Abby being two of them, and then Bree, obviously, but Ryla is a great leader for the rest of them as well as Bree, so it's gonna be such a fun year to watch them grow.
And then looking at, the other positions that are,
Mhm.
a little bit not as established because there's just new faces or young faces. I mean, I think the biggest one being just setter with Illinois transfer Brooke Mosier, who earned
Mhm.
the starting spot last weekend.
Mhm.
But I know Dan Fisher loves Haiti Tautua. I always pronounce it wrong, but I hope I got it. And then there's also Kiana Din. There's also Kiana Din in the mix. So lots of
Mhm.
options there.
Yeah. Brooke, obviously, absolute athlete. TT is so reliable. She's consistent, and we always say she's one of the best defenders in the country. But TT is coming off of an ACL tear and a redshirt season, so I do think that Brooke, who came off of a great Illinois season, does have the one up on her, unfortunately. But TT, I know, just needs to build that confidence to come back on the court. I love playing with her. I only got to play with Brooke a few times, but TT is one of my favorite setters because of her consistency and her location. Um, and then Kiana obviously did get a redshirt year as well. So we have two setters coming off injury. But I'm excited to see both of them grow this season. I think that what TT showed stepping onto the court mid-game, I think it was during Nebraska,
Mhm.
already is just so much growth for her as she can take that quarterback role immediately. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think she's very good for depth reasons and also
Mhm.
taking over for next year because Brooke only has 1 year, and so this is a really
Exactly.
good year for her to really learn, and she'll still get on the court too. Like there's
100%.
there's no saying, there's no reason that to say that she might not end up being the starter. Who knows? Like that's what's really exciting
Yeah, it's
for
so
me from a
early.
reporter's. But yeah, exactly. It's so
So early.
early. I think the position, one of, well, I guess all the position battles are very interesting, but looking at
Huh.
libero, I mean, they brought in Florida State
Mhm.
transfer Emery Dukes, and then Mallory Myers already on the roster. They did lose Dylan Griffin, who decided to graduate early.
Yeah.
But then there's also 17-year-old Izzy Matson, who decided to graduate high school early, a year early,
Crazy.
mind you, not a semester early, a year early,
She's
to
17.
come 17 to
Mm.
come and play for Pitt. And I mean, we'll get into to how all of them looked later, but that's a solid lineup of liberos right there.
Solid. The depth is off the charts. We say it, Fish has said it every single year. The depth is always, for us, just unbelievable. Also, the fact that Izzy can also be another outside option is crazy.
We
Crazy to
got
me.
to we got to see her a little bit on the outside on the blue
Blue
gold
gold.
game, which was crazy because she's so small compared to the other outsides, and I'm like, she's jumping just as high as them.
If not more. She's just an athlete. That girl is an athlete.
And then the other, I mean, looking at the outsides, like you mentioned, Tori
Man.
Stafford out of the mix, and then Valeria Vazquez Gomez, a big hit. I mean, she's been a starter for a while.
A while.
And so
A
the only
while.
yeah, the only returning outside that they actually have back is Blair Bayless, who was
Mhm.
fairly limited last year. We saw her in special situations. I
Mhm.
know that her and Nisa Buzlatepe came in as the 6'2" sometimes, but she's the returner. But then they also brought in Dagmar Maurits from the Netherlands, Marina Pizel from France, and then I'm going to say her last name wrong, Sophia Gregoire from transfer from Oregon. What do you like about this group?
Oh my gosh. I playing with Blair is one of my favorite people, and like Izzy and Brooke, she is just such a gifted athlete. Her jump and her block and just her power is incredible. And then Dokmar is one of the most controlled outsides I've ever watched. Her vision with the ball is great, but she also has cranks it. And then Marina, who I only have gotten to see play in game, so it was didn't shock me, but I was like, wow, this is she's going to be such a good player, and she is only a freshman. And the fact that it was the two of them running the end of both games, I was like, wow.
Mhm.
But you would kind of expect that out of European players at this point. They're way more crafty with the ball than Americans because all we want to do is just go up and rip it really hard, which is a good thing 99% of the time. And
Yeah,
then
I mean,
Sophie, obviously, too. Can't forget about Sophie. She came here in January, and she came off an injury as well, but she is one of the most hardworking people ever. She wants it so bad. She wants to crank every single ball. She's a great teammate, and I can't wait to watch what honestly, all of them do.
Yeah, I think it's interesting the note that you made about European players, because it kind of played out with the Kansas Penn State game the other day, because Kansas is full of international players, and in theory Penn State should have had not really a challenging time against a brand new coach. Kansas team, a brand new really just a brand new group, but because of the international players there, that changed the game.
For sure, and Matt's a great guy, great coach, and obviously they had a lot of changes to their roster as well, but with, like, Kristen Klein and Katie Dalton running it all, they looked pretty good to me.
Yeah, and then just to round out the mix, I mean, we know we have returning middles, Brie Kelly and Ryla Jones, but how can Dahlia Verlon and Abby Emch get in the mix with the fact that we are returning middles?
Well, the craziest part is we saw all of them this weekend, which is not surprising to me, as we're playing the number 1 team in the country, and then obviously playing Florida and going down against them. We're going to see everybody. Dahlia has like the most competitive attitude ever, and she wants to block the ball straight down every single time, and that's exactly what she did. And then Abby, who came in and got double back-to-back blocks, with just like, I don't know. I think it's going to be a tough battle for the 4 of them. Obviously, with Brie injured a little bit, I don't know if she's hitting a lot of balls right now, but we'll get into that, obviously. But I think it's a fair fight for all 4 of them, if not rotating between games, giving somebody a rest. I think it's great. It's such a great thing to have 4 really good middles.
Yeah. I think one of my favorite parts about the season so far is just how much change there is, because the past couple of seasons I've covered, there hasn't been that much change. Like in the middles, yes, but other than that, you've had your pretty much staples, which, obviously changes the landscape. But, they got the votes and preseason polls looking at like kind of big picture stuff came out first that they were the number 1 team in the ACC, which isn't totally surprising considering Louisville lost their coach. Pitt has the National Player of the Year on their team. And then they started out on the AVCA poll number 3, which is huge too, but just behind Nebraska and Penn State.
Huge.
But tougher schedule.
I can't even imagine. Well, and we all saw that it was like the highest watched preseason match ever. It was 7. I don't even know how many it was. And then there were 21,000 people there. Which, imagine for these girls who've never played in front of like a crowd bigger than 1,500. Like that's just like, that's the Final Four. Like that's like being in the Final Four, and that is one of the like the most nerve-wracking things ever. So honestly, getting that out of the way is going to make it seem like the rest of the games are just like a cakewalk with the fans and the crowd and stuff like that. So I'm honestly glad it happened. Glad it happened.
They started out 0-2, which not ideal, but as you pointed out, that environment is a little chaotic. The last time they were 0-2, Kat, you were a freshman on the 2020 team. What take us into a little bit of what they'd be feeling kind of right now coming off of that.
Yeah, obviously me being a meek freshman in 2021, coming off of COVID, and we were playing in front of, I think, 10 people, including the refs. We went 0-2 to Syracuse, and I just remember it being like, whoa, what just happened? I think that it was a wake-up call, not only for us, but also for the coaches. Like, this isn't going to be easy. I think it's going to be the same thing this year. Starting off 0-2 is tough, especially coming off the team who's been to the Final Four, and we went, whatever it was, 40 straight sets last year, and had, like, no problem steamrolling teams. I think starting with, like, the strongest team in the country, I think Nebraska is going to show out to be number 1 for a long time. Unfortunately, I think they're going to be really good because they have all of their returning players. But I just think that they're all probably thinking like, wow, like, okay, we are not just going to be given this. Like, it's not going to be like another lapse year. Like, people called it luck for us. Like, it's not going to be another lucky year. Like, we're going to have to prove it this year. Like, this is really proving it for them. So I think it was a good thing.
Yeah, I keep saying that, like, 0-2, again, not ideal, but you're playing number 1 Kansas, who looks like they're postseason play. They look like they're postseason ready. That's how good they look. And Florida's not a team to bat your eye at either. But knowing that they've had the experience, knowing that that year was the year you guys got past the second round hump, is this roster a Final Four team?
With the depth that we have, and I think with how young we are and ready to compete we are, I think that Fish can coach anybody into anything, and Callan can coach anybody into anything, and and Michael. I think that this will be I think we're gonna peak at the right time. We talk about peaking at the right time. We have not peaked at the right time in the past few years, so, not peaking in the Final Four has hurt us. I think that them peaking during the tournament could make them a Final Four team. I think that when they get all of, the communication down, the team chemistry is down, we have Breeze fully healthy, Ryla's fully healthy, everybody's blocking well, we're all swinging, we have firm outsides. I think that when December comes, they're ready, they're hunting, they're ready to go. So
I keep using the example of Penn State last year. I mean, think back to mid-September, Pitt swept Penn State, and they ended up winning the whole dang thing because, like you said, they peaked at the right time.
Absolutely. And I think that complacency right now is not even a question for Pitt. I think that all they want to do is work harder after this weekend. And I think that it's really all just going to be this uphill climb, and it's going to be so fun to watch.
Yeah. So let's really transition into diving into those first two games. I mean, a lot of takeaways, that is one thing that, as much as a loss sucks, is you learn a lot from, whether it's from a player perspective or from a reporter perspective. I'm going to start off with, I think the most interesting thing for me from the weekend was the late libero switch in the Florida game. In the third set, Dan Fisher opted to sub out Emery Dukes, senior transfer, for 17-year-old Izzy Matson. And in my opinion, the passing got a bit better.
It did get better. Honestly, I think that I can say that as a first game for a fifth year for Emery at a brand new school, I know that's terrifying. And I know that for Izzy, first game at a brand new school, but you're 17, is adrenaline. Izzy had to have been running on straight adrenaline throughout all that. And I do think the passing was not great on any end. I think that's definitely a major improvement that comes with settling in and being comfortable in those big arenas, which I'm surprised that Emery was struggling with, but I know that she was just nervous, and over time that's going to get better as well. But the libero switch, I think it made a difference. I mean, 15-13 in a fifth versus 25-15 is huge.
And I think not only did it help the passing, but it allowed setter Brooke Mosier to really move the ball around a little bit more, because that was a big problem as in the Nebraska game is it felt like it was just auto to Olivia Babcock, which is great in theory because she's Olivia Babcock and does Olivia Babcock things. But then it gives predictability even more so than you already know. And so I didn't feel like the ball was moving around enough. I mean, Olivia had 126 swings over 2 games.
Man, you and I are texting about this, but having more than 50 plus attempts per game is crushing. And the fact that she still hit positive, just shows how good of a player she is, one, but also just shows how much they're relying way too much on her. And you were talking about, the ball was not being moved around enough because the passing was struggling in and out. There are too many out of system plays, and obviously if the outside's not being effective, then she's going to get right to Olivia every single time, and that makes it so easy for blockers on the other side. But yeah, I 100% think that one of my major takeaways was the passing, and the ball cannot go to Liv every single time. One, for her well-being, her physical well-being.
Yes.
And two, for just scouting against us. It just can be way easier than it needs to be.
I will say that one hitter other than Olivia that I thought was very consistent, didn't have necessarily a high amount of numbers, but she was the second behind Olivia, was Dokmar, which is funny because in the preseason, I was really getting the vibe that the starter was going to be either Marina or Sophia alongside Blair. But then when I watched Dokmar in the blue gold game, I was like, hold the phone. Because then she went in. Then she went in against Nebraska and Florida. She was one of the only players to play all the way through both games. And she was just consistent. How important of a presence is that to have?
Well, I mean, not only was she consistent on the pin, her passing is so good. It's not even like I obviously can't pay attention this much. I don't think she was getting ace a lot. I don't think she was getting one pass. I think she was passing two threes the whole time.
Mhm.
Um, and just being consistent on the outside. Your outside is you're supposed to be like your consistent player. You're supposed to be like the emergency set, like the high ball set. Like you're supposed to be able to keep everything in on a system, getting crafty, exactly like I was talking about. Like the European players are so much more crafty. Like she was seeing the block so well the entire game, and that is just so big for like a leadership role, for like a steady player role. Like you're not going to crank every ball. You're not getting stuff blocked a ton, but she's keeping it in. She's keeping it in, and we're able to play defense against that. So it's so important.
I will say the other outsides didn't totally impress me like they impressed
Mhm.
Dockmar. I mean, Blair, I think there was a lot of hype for her. I mean, Dan's been hot on her the past couple
Yeah,
seasons. She has a great pedigree, but I didn't feel like she performed what
I
Pitt
know.
needed.
I don't think I think that we expected more on the pin. I understand that being a front row only hitter is tough. Like, I know I struggled if I was only playing front row, like, going in cold and taking those first few swings, like, you still feel like you're getting warm. So I think that Dagmar did have that advantage on the 2 of them, but Blair has the arm, she has the capability, she has the physicality to be ripping those, like, big balls in big situations. Like I said about Emory, I just think that the nerves got the best of them this
Mhm.
weekend. I don't think they're comfortable with each other yet.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna say it again. I'm excited to watch how she digs
Mhm.
herself out of that the rest of the season.
Yeah. And then the other one, just to mention her, I mean, so Sophia didn't play that much, so I don't
Mhm.
have many takeaways from her. But Marina,
Marina
she was one of the last people to get not only to campus but in the country.
into the
Um,
country.
and and the way that she is already like she might take a little bit longer than Dockmar to settle in, but the when she settled in, she was really there.
Well, she was getting crafty with balls, and all of a sudden she'd take like this like huge rip, and I was like, "Whoa, whoa, that's a child out there swinging that ball in big situations too," which I love. I think she's fun to watch. I also think that Dagmar and Marina together both provide like a very neutral. Like, you can't tell on their face anything,
Mhm.
mistake, error. I could be totally wrong because I wasn't paying attention the whole time, like I said, but I think that they were both pretty consistent,
Mhm.
and you kinda knew what to expect, and that's what you need in an outside.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I
I liked watching her a lot.
I think I was I'm not I don't think I was nervous about the outsides this year simply
For
because
sure.
losing Tori, losing Valeria, but you know, if that was game 1 and 2 for Dockmar and Marina, and even Blair and Sophia, but really looking at Dockmar and Marina, like they're just gonna get better and they already look
Exactly.
pretty decent.
If you're playing your best volleyball right now, why?
Yeah.
You know? It doesn't really matter all that much right
Mhm.
now. It's preseason.
Another another takeaway I had was, especially in the Nebraska game, and this goes to Nebraska being Nebraska, but I didn't feel like the block was very active.
Yeah.
However, in Florida, I think they totally like rerouted and had not only did
Mhm.
individuals block more, but as a whole, it felt like they were more active. I mean, Riley
For
Jones
sure.
alone went from 0 blocks against Nebraska to 10 against Florida. And then
Yeah,
you also had that flashes from Abby and Dahlia too, just going in, adding a change of pace. And I know Bree's injured, but
yeah,
they they improved from game 1 to game 2.
for sure. Well, and that's all that really matters. Like I said, Bree's hand being hurt is not ideal. I don't know if she's being timid, which I doubt she is, but it's still in the back of her mind, like, ouch, that definitely
Mm-hmm.
hurts.
Yeah.
Um, they're just, I just think there had to have been something with some like scouting report. Somebody just with kind of like oh my gosh, I'm not read blocking enough. Like I'm just going, I'm not trying to
Mm-hmm.
read the setter. That's what I know that we've struggled with that in the past is just like going where we think the ball is going. And then you kind of just get screwed and you have to make a late move. And our best games have always been when we scout the most, watch the most, and then replicate it in game. And it just didn't look like that was the gears weren't turning all that much in the first game, and like I'm going back to the nerves, and like that's just how it's gonna be when it's young players out there. So
yeah, and that's what like people need to remember is like I feel like there was a good amount from what I saw at least of doom and gloom for this team is like listen, there were at a point there were 3 freshmen on the court, and
insane.
Bree, one of your leaders, is hurt right now, so she's not able to give 100%.
She's
still
like
going out there.
She's like 98%.
Yes, she's still going out there killing it, but
Exactly.
it's just a little bit different. And not only are they young, but the connection, the chemistry just isn't totally there yet. And I think that's why that 4th set against Florida kind of went out the window for them because they had match point.
Yeah.
But Florida has a little bit more chemistry with, setter Alexis Stuckey and Jordan Bird just absolutely doing crazy stuff. But closing out that set would have been a really nice hat or tip of the hat, but it kind of makes sense because of how young they are.
Yeah, and that's just going to come with time. It's going to come with time and practicing and going through every single game and all of that. There's just like nothing to say about it except for that.
Coming up this weekend, Labor Day weekend, Pitt is playing 2 games, one against TCU on Sunday and one against Arizona State on Monday. 2 more ranked matches. I'm very excited not only for, seeing them see what they do better, but also there's some fun little connections to Pitt from especially TCU. Bree Kelly's sister, Becca, is an outside hitter for the Horned Frogs. And then there's also a little weird situation in that Samara Coleman, another OH for TCU, was actually originally committed to Pitt, but flipped her commitment, is now at TCU. I don't think that's going to play much into it, but I'm really excited to see Bree and Becca across the court from each other.
Oh my gosh. And the 2 of them together are absolutely hilarious. It's going to be, I'm so glad I don't have to like actually play and pay attention because I want to just watch the 2 of them. And Samara, like, she's a baller. Glad she ended up where she is. I'm excited to see if she'll play. I haven't paid that much attention to TCU, but I know that Becca is the other outside, so I don't know.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm excited to see how they improve. As you said, this season is just going to be one block after another.
Just got to get the ball rolling, yeah.
Which leads us into our last part of the episode. We're going to do some rapid fire questions. I'm going to start with, what is the biggest strength of this team heading into this season?
Oh, hello, bye. Okay. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
You're totally fine.
Biggest strength of the team heading into this season, depth, as usual. Mm-hmm. You can put anyone out there.
I said, I think it might be cheating, but having the National Player of the Year back on your court inherently gives you a very solid strength. What about weaknesses?
How young, inexperienced.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say chemistry, which goes right into that because you need that libero or the passing to setting to hitting chemistry, and takes time.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Who is your breakout player this season?
Either Penn, Marina. I think Marina, Dockmar. Honestly, I kind of want to see Dockmar, but also I'm gonna have to say Izzy.
Yeah, that was my answer. I mean, whenever you have a 17-year-old out on the court, like, and playing how she is playing,
like what?
Great for continuity. I love it.
Yeah.
And then the last one, what's one match this season you're excited to see?
Oh, God, I saw this and I was like, oh, I don't know. I mean, Louisville, but also this is also like Cheetah and I just spent like the whole weekend hanging out at SMU, but I would love to see that rematch.
What? That's so funny. I wrote the same exact things down. I said Louisville specifically at the Pete. That environment will be a little bit different because it is the day before Thanksgiving, so I'm not totally sure how the fans will show up.
Sell out.
Not even worried. The day before Thanksgiving?
Not worried.
Okay. I'll take you've been there longer than I have.
They also play Penn State.
They do play Penn State at Penn State.
Oh, that as well. And Happy Valley. That's a third. Those three for sure.
Yeah. I also wrote honorable mention SMU just because they were one of those only teams to take they were one of two teams to take a match over you guys. And I'd like to see how they bounce back, especially because
100%.
of SMU is going to be good.
SMU is going to be pretty good. I got to sit in one of their practices. They look great.
Nice. So, okay, everyone, thanks so much for jumping in. That wraps up our first episode of Serving Pitt. We really appreciate listening. We hope you enjoyed our season preview, opening weekend takeaways. Be sure to subscribe to this channel. Comment if you loved it. Make sure you're looking at the Apple Podcast, Spotify Podcast, because we're on there too. And also send us any questions or topics you want us to cover in future episodes. We'd love to see it. Next week, we'll be giving our takeaways on Pitt's matches against TCU and Arizona State, plus just keeping an eye on those early rankings. So thanks so much for listening, and we will see you next week.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.